Hello guys, my free teacher is back again, and today we're gonna discuss Unit 10, the grammar part of the Unit 10 of pre-intermediate course, yes? And the main grammar is about passive voice, yes? So what is passive voice? How many voices are there in English actually? Yes, how shall we use it? When shall we use it? So let's find out it today, okay? Together. Let's move on. So why use the passive voice? Why shall we use the passive voice, right? So we use it to emphasize the object or party receiving the action. For example, Rebecca was selected for a free gift. Yes, so Rebecca was selected. Somebody selected Rebecca for a free gift. Yes, so here we have the object that receives the action. Okay? So, next one is we use passive voice to emphasize the action instead of the actor. Why we shall use the passive voice? To emphasize the action instead of the actor. So we need some duration of the action. Yes, the action itself, not the doer of this action. So our car was repaired by our neighbor. Yes, so again we have the object here, was repaired. By whom was it repaired? By our neighbor. Yes, so the action is more important here, and that is was repaired. The next reason why we should use the passive voice: when the doer is unknown. So the subject is unknown, we don't know who does this action. For example, her house was broken into last night. Yes, who broke into her house? When did it happen? We don't know. Yes, we don't know the doer of the action. So in this case, we use the passive voice, right? The next reason is when the doer is unimportant. What is the difference between these two reasons? Here we don't know the doer. Here we might know the doer of the action, but he's not important to be mentioned. Okay? It's not important to speak about that doer of the action. For example, gas prices were raised again last week. Who did it? It's not important. This is the fact that gas became more expensive, right? The next one is we use the passive voice again to be discreet or tactful but not naming the doer. So we are more polite, we are more tactful, yes? For example, the keys were misplaced again. Maybe we know who did it, maybe we don't know. But still, the fact is that somebody changed the place of the keys. Yes? Is that clear? This is main reasons why we should use the passive voice. Let's continue and let's discuss the structure, yes, of the passive voice. And by the way, there is one more voice in English. And what is that? Some sentences when we use in everyday life. What voice is that? And that is active voice. Yes. So now let's discuss the structure of the passive voice. The main rules, yes, how we shall form the sentences in passive voice. Look here. So the first one is you should add the verb be, yes, in the same tense as the sentence in its active voice form. So remember that there is one more voice in English, and that is active voice, yes. And the second one is passive, what we're discussing now. So the verb be, yes. If it's present simple, the same in present simple, am, is, are. If it's past simple, you should use was or were, and so on and so on. So the next one is you should use past participle form of the main verb. Okay, so be is important and past participle, and which form of the verb is that? The third form. Yes, the verb 3. So if it's irregular verb, if it's regular verb, you add the ending d or ed, right? Remember it? Good. So in continuous tense, you should add the continuous form of the verb be. And what ending do we have in continuous forms? Of course, ing. Yes, this is the ing form, and that is being. Again, you should use being and past participle form. For example, more homes are being built this year. So this is present continuous tense, but not in active voice, in passive voice. Okay? You see here being and built in the third form, yes, in past participle. And the last one, the last rule, yes, the last structure rule. In all perfect tenses and perfect modals, if you have modal verbs, should, must, can, will, and so on. There are many, right, in English. So you should use past participle form of be, which is been. So if it's perfect tense, don't forget about have, has. Yes, if it's present perfect, been, and then you should use the past participle form of the main verb, and that is the third form. Yes, let's see the examples. Gifts have been given out already, right? Again, this is the passive voice sentence. Who gave the gifts? We don't know. When were they given? We don't know. Yes, and this is, what tense is that? Present perfect, right? That is present perfect tense. So have, you see the been, yes, the verb been, and main verb in past participle form. The next example is, my sister should have been told about the party. So here we have the modal verb should, right? We don't change should, been, yes, and again the verb 3, told, should have been told about the party. So that is perfect modal. Okay, is that clear? Great, let's continue then. So now we will discuss passive voice step by step, yes, in each tense. So the first one is present simple tense, and how shall we form passive voice in the present simple tense? So first let's observe the active voice sentences, and here we have 3 examples. I walk the dogs every day, right? That is simple present tense, right? Millions of people watch the Spider-Man. And people write many letters to each other. I think these are very simple sentences, yes, and the meaning is clear. So let's see what happens in the passive voice. I walk the dogs every day. So we have to find the object here, and the object is the dogs, right? In passive voice, this object comes to the first place and it becomes subject. So we have the dogs, then to be in present simple tense are, yes, the dogs plural form, and walk, the third form of the verb walk, is walked as its regular verb. So the dogs are walked every day. If you want to indicate who walks the dogs, you can add at the end of the sentence by me. Okay? That's simple. Next sentence. Millions of people watch the Spider-Man. Again, we find the object, and that is the Spider-Man. Yes, it moves to the first place. The Spider-Man is watched by millions of people. The same, the verb to be and participle 3 of the main verb. And the third sentence, people write many letters to each other. Many letters, that is the object in this sentence, right? Moves to the first place, remember that? Many letters are written to each other. Who write them? We don't know, or we don't want to know it, yes, if it's unimportant. So, but if you want to indicate it, again, you can say by people at the end, okay? So this will sound like many letters are written to each other by the people. Is that clear? Good. And here you have the form of the active voice and the form of the passive voice. So to make it more easier, yes, for you, we have subject here, right? Verb in present simple tense, and plus object, the dogs, right? In passive voice, I have just said it, object removed to the first place. So first you have object, then you write the verb to be. Yes, am, is, or are. It's up to the person, singular, plural, and so on. And then you write verb 3 in past participle. That is the main verb, right? So let's continue. That was the present simple tense. Let's move on to present continuous. And I've just said that we use the ing form, right, in present continuous tense in active voice sentences. So let's observe these examples. The same sentences, but I have just changed the tense form, okay? So we had I walk in present simple. In present continuous, we have I am walking the dogs, right? And what happens in the passive voice? The dogs are being walked, right? So again, we should use the verb to be. Then we should use the ing form with the verb to be, yes, and the past participle form of the main verb. Don't forget about that, please. The second example is millions of people are watching the Spider-Man, right? At this moment, continuous tense. The object, we find the object again. The Spider-Man is being watched by millions of people. You can indicate that millions of people, or you can remove it. You can say just the Spider-Man is being watched. If it's not important, yes, by whom it is being watched. Okay, great. And the next example, yes, people are writing many letters to each other. So again, object, many letters are being written to each other. So don't forget about the ing form, yes, in continuous tense, and the verb 3. And of course, the verb to be is also important, okay? Here you have the form, the structure of the sentence, subject, the verb to be, the main verb with ing ending, and the object. And here, the passive voice sentences, we remove again the object to the first place, then we use the verb to be, am, is, are, so you choose it, yes, it's up to the context. Then you should use being, ing form, yes, because it's continuous tense, and the past participle form of the main verb. Clear, guys? Great, let's continue. Now we move to the past simple tense, yes? So remember that I didn't take all the tenses. I just took those ones that you have in your books. So you can study this presentation, and you can work in your student books, make some assignments, some exercises, yes, and your workbooks. So past simple tense, the same sentences, yes, about the dogs, about the Spider-Man, and about the letters, but in past form, in past simple form. So active voice is I walked the dogs, right? And how do you think, what is the passive voice sentence? Of course, the dogs were walked, yes? So don't forget about the verb to be, right? And in past simple tense, it is was for singular nouns or were for plural nouns. Remember that? Good. So the next sentence, millions of people watched the Spider-Man sometime in the past, yes? Again, the Spider-Man was watched by millions of people. So one more note, if you want to indicate who did the action, try to use by, and then you should use the subject, yes? So who maintains, who fulfills that action. And the third one, people wrote many letters to each other. So many letters were written to each other. We also can say by the people, yes, if we want to indicate who did that action. Is that clear? So now look here, please. This is again the structure of the sentence of active voice in past simple tense and passive voice, yes? So here we have subject, then we have verb to, the second form of the main verb, yes? If it's irregular verb, it's verb to. If it's regular verb, you add ed. And at last, you have the object. In passive voice, again, we change the places of the object, right? the first object, then we use was or were, I've just explained it, when we use it, and at last we have verb 3 or ed. Clear? Good, let's go on. So, now let's continue with present perfect tense, yes? And the auxiliary verbs of present perfect tense are have and has, right? Let's look at the sentences in active voice. The same sentences, meaning didn't change, yes, the same one. I have walked the dogs, and how do you think, what is it in passive voice? How can we form it? The dogs have been walked, yes? So we should use the auxiliary verb of the present perfect tense, and that is have or has. Then we should use been, and then after that past participle of the main verb. Don't forget that, please. Millions of people have watched the Spider-Man. The Spider-Man has been watched by millions of people, yes? And the third sentence, people have written many letters to each other. So again, we change, yes, the place of the object. Many letters have been written to each other. So here you can see the structure of the sentence of the active voice and of the passive voice. And the difference, the same difference as in all the other tenses. So here we have subject, have or has. Then we have verb 3, yes, the past participle form of the main verb. And then we have object. In passive voice sentence, this object goes to the first place, as usually, yes. Then you have to use have or has, then been and verb 3. So that is the main structure for positive sentences in active and passive voices for present perfect tense, right? Let's continue. Here we have, I think this is the last one, yes, the future simple. So what is auxiliary verb? The main auxiliary verb of the future simple tense is, of course, it is will, right? So look here, I will walk the dogs. The passive voice sentence is, the dogs will be walked, right? Next one, millions of people will watch the Spider-Man. The Spider-Man will be watched by millions of people. And the third example, people will write many letters to each other. The passive voice sentence is, many letters will be written to each other. So here we can see again, yes, the structures of the sentences. So subject, auxiliary verb of the future tense will, then the main verb in present simple tense, don't forget that, and the object. In passive voice, again we change, yes, the object, then we have will, then be, and the verb 3, yes, or ed, the past participle form of the main verb. So pay attention, please, guys. In passive voice, it doesn't matter what tense you use, yes, what tense is written a text, right, in passive voice. Don't forget to use the verb to be, okay? That's one of the main parts, yes, of the passive voice. So now let's have some practice, yes, and you have to read the sentence and guess if it's active voice, yes, or passive voice. So if it's active voice sentence, then it will become red. If it's passive voice sentence, then it will change its color to green one, okay? So the first sentence is, the man was hunted by the police. How do you think? What voice is it? Of course, this is the passive voice because we have was, yes, and we have hunted, right? The verb to be in the past simple tense and the verb 3, okay? The next sentence is, the great battle was fought in 1814. And what voice is this sentence? Is it active or is it passive? Think it over. Now let's check it. This is, of course, this is passive voice. Again, the sentence is written in past simple tense, right? The verb to be and the verb 3, right? Was fought. So we don't know who fought in that battle, right? And so on. So the doer is not known in these two sentences, okay? The next one is the soft grass cushioned my fall. What voice is this? And of course, this is active voice sentence, right? Do we have the verb to be here? No. We have just the main verb in past simple tense, right? So, and we have the doer of the action, we can say the subject, yeah? The soft grass, that is the subject. What did it do? It cushioned. What did it cushion? It cushioned my fall, yes? So that's why this is the active voice sentence. The next one. The donuts were made by the new baker. I think it's easy, yes? Because we have by the new baker at the end of the sentence, and this is, of course, the passive voice sentence, right? The next one, a car ran over my cat. Oh. So, what voice is that? Do we have subject here, the doer of the action? Of course we do have. And this sentence is in active voice, right? We have the doer, a car, we have the main verb, ran, and we have the object, my cat. Yes, it ran over my cat. So, the next sentence is, a number of horses had been stolen by thieves. I think it's also easy, like the sentence about the donuts, right? So, it is, of course, it is passive voice because we have by thieves, right? Next one is, the fire burned the house to the ground. How do you think? What voice is this? Of course, this is active voice sentence because, again, subject, verb, and the object, right? It's simple. So the next sentence is, the kidnappers stole John's baby. Just think it over, if it's object here or subject here. Of course, this is subject here, and this sentence is in active voice, right? The kidnappers, subject, stole, the verb, yes, in past simple form, and John's baby is the object, right? Good, continue. The old computers will be sold next week. We don't have by here, but think it over. First of all, what tense is this? Yes, future tense, future simple tense. And is it active or is it passive? That's right, this is passive voice sentence because we have here will be sold, yes? And we don't have subject here, we don't have doer of the action here, this is the object, right? The old computers will be sold next week, right? And the last one, everyone received presents at the party. How do you think? What tense is it? This is the past simple tense, right? And what voice is it? That's it. This is the active voice, right? Again, the subject, the verb, and the object, right? Everyone received presents where? At the party. So, guys, study the presentation, work in your books, student books, workbooks, because you have this theme there. And as always, I wish you to stay healthy, wealthy, and wise. Okay? Keep safe. Bye-bye, guys, and see you the next time.